right, Mr. Mayor, we are live and ready when you are. You frozen. Mr. Mayor, can you hear us? Jen or Vivian, can you hear us?
I can hear you. This is Vivian.
Okay. I think we might have lost the mayor for a moment, so we'll give it a second.
I can. He looks like he's frozen.
Yeah, I think he's signing back off and hopefully we'll sign back on again. I guess
I've done this for long enough, but.
Jeremiah's having some technical difficulties, so we'll give him a second to see if he can restart his computer and sign back in.
Well, then, we're going to call to order a meeting of the City Council of the City of Seldovia on Monday, July 22nd, 2024 at 6:19 PM. We'll run through roll call. Kennedy? Swick?
Here.
Peyton? Is not with us currently,
She's running late.
running late. Keithley? Here. Langbart?
Here.
And Rojas.
Here.
All right, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Heidi, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, excused absences, we have none, but we are missing Peyton. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, agenda approved. Do I have to do a vote?
Yeah, we need to do a roll call vote.
Roll call for that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want me to?
all those in favor? Kennedy? Swick?
Aye.
Peyton? Oh, Langvart?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
Keithley? Aye. All right, all those in favor. Item number E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and one vote. A council member may request to remove an item or items for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Number 1, approval of the minutes. Minutes
Yeah.
of the regular meeting, June 24th, 2024. Number 2, ordinance introduction. Ordinance 2501, a non-code ordinance of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, amending the FY 25 budget by appropriating $13,960 from the Major Maintenance and Repair Fund for the dock approach repair project and boat haul out ramp repair project. Number 3, Resolution A, Resolution 2501, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, adopting a non-discrimination policy to uphold and assure full compliance with the Title V of the Civic Rights Act of 1964 and other related non-discrimination authorities. B, Resolution 2502, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing the acceptance of 2 FY 2025 designated legislative grants and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. C, Resolution 2503, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing the acceptance of a Department of Health and Social Service, Nutrition, Transportation, and Support Services grant for the Senior Meals Program in the amount of $22,038.94 and authorizing the city manager to execute the appropriate documents. Resolution D, Resolution 2504, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing the acceptance of the Kenai Peninsula Borough FY 25 Senior Citizen Grant in the amount of $11,847 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. Is there anything under our consent agenda that would like to be moved to the for further discussion? All right. If nothing is going to be moved for further discussion, we'll take it to a vote. A motion first, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All right. Any further discussion? No further discussion. We'll go to a vote. Kennedy? Swick?
Aye.
Keithley? Aye. Langvart?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
And Peyton.
Aye.
Perfect. 6 in the affirmative, none in not. All right, moving on. F, mayoral proclamations, none. G, public presentation prior notice. Each presenter has up to 10 minutes. Our first presenter is Lisa Stanish, the coordinator of the Sea Otter Community Center.
My company, Lisa will not be here tonight. She's gonna have to reschedule. Her written report is in the packet and it is on page 21, and it is the annual report that for Sursa, their presentation to the borough, and she was gonna come present that and also give an update on it. So you can read through the report and I'm happy to answer any questions if people have them. Otherwise, she'll reschedule her presentation for a later date.
Give you guys a few minutes to look over it and see if we have any questions for Liz. Any questions for Liz before we move on? Otherwise, we'll wait until we get Lisa's report at our next meeting. All right. Without any questions, let me get back to the top here. We will be moving on to we'll move on to public presentation prior notice number 2, Rebecca Rain, our local government specialist, LGS, Division of the Community and Regional Affairs, DCRA.
Thank you, Council. My name is Rebecca Ryan. I'm with the State of Alaska, DCRA, which is the Department of Community and Regional Affairs. I am a local government specialist 3. And Radsy, oh, my mic is on. Good. That one was dim. Yep, I was. So I am in Seldovia for the week. I came in today and I will be leaving Friday morning. I am here to assist the city in a rate study, and do some planning commission training and look at your guys' zoning codes. So DCRA is a broad office. We have like 15 different departments. We do research and analysis. So there's a community database online that the state maintains that has information about every community in our state. So Liz and I looked over Seldovia and Seldovia Village earlier to verify that all your information was correct. We house the Office of the State Assessor, the Local Boundary Commission, which does annexations or detachments from municipalities. We have a bulk fuel revolving loan program for communities that need it. We do community aid and assistance, and that's what the CAP grant is under. We also have Serve Alaska, the ANCSA Municipal Land Trust, floodplain management, climate change and impact mitigation programs, mapping and GIS. We have the Alaska Native Language Preservation Program. We house Made in Alaska, the RDORs, which are the Alaska Regional Development Organizations. Then, of course, my office, the Local Government Assistance. And the other half of what our LGA office does is the RUBA program, which is our Rural Utility Business Advisors. And so those 2 hats are what I would come here under to do rate settings, is the RUBA, and then LGA for all of the rest of it. So Liz said that the council had some more questions about the rate setting and wanted to know some more details. So what I'll do is I will look at what policies the council has approved for rate setting. I'm going to go over with Jan what it costs to operate and maintain the system, how many customers does the utility serve and what type, how much water is used by the different groups of customers, are there meters installed for any or all customers, will flat rates be necessary? Your code already says flat rates are set every year, and I understand you guys do that through the budget. How many customers pay their bill? What's our collection rate? What other sources of money can the city use to cover operating costs if necessary? And then what are the future plans for the system expansion or renovations? So I'll work through those things and then I will provide the council a report with the findings that I come up with city staff. And I am here to answer any other questions that you guys have. Before I turn it over to questions, so I want to tell you about the trainings that we do within our office. So we do clerks management for rural utilities. We do elected officials management, financial management, introduction to management for rural utilities, operations management, that's specifically for water and wastewater, organizational management, that is for the council as a whole, and then city staff as well, personnel management, planning management, and then we partner with a company out of Anchorage that does QuickBooks training, because a lot of our smaller communities throughout the state use QuickBooks to do their financial management. So I'm happy to answer any questions the council has.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Rebecca?
So before we move on, I'd like to just let the council know that it's not just city staff that can reach out to their local government specialists. You guys can go to the DCRA website and we're all listed there. And anybody from the city can reach out to us if they need questions answered about state processes or state statutes, or even help interpreting your own code.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Without any questions for Rebecca, we'll move on to item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda.
Nobody signed up online and nobody in the room for that.
All right. Thanks, Liz. Item I, committee and advisory reports. Each member has 5 minutes.
We also have nobody signed up for those.
Item J, administrative reports, finance report, FY 2024 year-end reports. I'll turn it over to staff.
Finance Officer Yeager, are you online? Can you turn up your volume, Jen?
I am turning up now. How is that?
Better. We can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Sorry, it's a little hard to judge with the headphones sometimes. Good evening, City Council and staff. So the finance report that you had in the original packet, I would advise you to instead go to the laydown just between Wednesday of last week and today. There were quite a number of changes that happened, and so I did an update this morning, and that is reflected in the laydown. So that's the version that I'm going to be working off of. Most of this is as of June 30th, 2024. So basically it's a snapshot of FY 24 as things stand now. Again, things are still, still finalizing, but it's a pretty good look, I think, now of where we ended up for FY 24. A couple of things, bank and investment accounts are a little more up to date than the end of the fiscal year. But as you can see in the AMLIP account, I've included the current balances as well as the beginning of FY 24 balances. And so we can see that some had some pretty notable changes. The permanent fund is up by about $33,000. Of course, that is reflective of the $30,000 plus interest that was repaid to the permanent fund for the harbor kiosks. MMRF, Major Maintenance and Repair Fund, again, also up significantly to $284,000 versus the opening balance of 99,000 and change. Again, that is reflective of repayments to that account. In this case, for the Community Development Block Grant expenses, they were originally paid out of that account, and then as reimbursements came in, they went back into that account. And so that obviously there's a fair bit of interest in there as well, but that's the majority of why you see a difference there. The ARPA fund and the vehicle replacement funds went the other way. Of course, we spent a fair bit of each of those, and so that's why the balance is smaller. Lake Susan Access Fund strictly presents the addition of interest to the account. The 2% sales tax revenue, that is strictly for calendar year 22 and 23. We don't have any calendar year 24 revenues in there yet. We wait until the end of the summer season to calculate the extra 2% and then put it in there all at once. And that actually just was established at the beginning of FY24. That's why there's not an opening balance there. And same thing for the Harbor Capital Improvement Fund that was established during the year. And so there's no opening balance. But as you can see, all those funds are either in pretty good shape or they were utilized to do the tasks that they were meant for. Charles Schwab have an increase over the year of just about exactly $50,000 in that account, which is about 10% of its opening balance. So that was a good return on there. Wells Fargo, you can see our balance there is down significantly from what we're used to, but the reason for that is because that payment reflects or that balance reflects the full payment of our FY25 insurance, both our regular citywide insurance and the additional insurance for the harbor. And so those expenses are already accounted for in FY25. And that's good to see, as we discussed last year, by moving that back to one lump sum payment at the beginning of the year, we avoid some pretty significant costs in terms of interest when we pay an installment. As you can see in the general fund, we either met or exceeded all of our projected revenues. And so that was nice to see. And we were able to limit our projected expenditures to 90%. And so that resulted in a net effect for the general fund currently at just a little over $190,000. As we discovered from our FY23 audit, the general fund emerged from deficit. And so it's nice to see that we can put all that toward a fund balance going into FY25. Our special revenue funds also almost all either met or exceeded their projected budget, the one exception being the dock, which came very close at 99%. And they all managed to undershoot the expenditures. One thing that was notable this year is that all of our funds, including somehow even the dock, did manage, again, at least at this point, with the unaudited financials and knowing that there will still be some shifting, but everything did actually end up in the black for the year. And that actually includes the senior meals fund, which is sometimes considered a special revenue fund. Although the city expenses were about $5,000 over what our mandated match was because of donations that we received from our participants and the 70 cents per in-meal payment from the state, we did actually end up with a fund balance of a little over $3,000 for senior meals. And so that's money that we can put toward balancing things out for FY25. So we were very happy to see that. There was something else I was going to say about senior meals, but I don't remember what it was now. So, but yeah, so as you look at the fund balances, like I said, we do have a positive fund balance across the board. And so that was very nice to see. There will be some more shifting of some of these because we had some discussions with the DEC today for our Clean Water Action Grant Fund, and they are allowing us to pull some staff time from earlier in FY24 that was not recorded at the time back into our end of year report. And so that ended up being approximately $3,000 that it will be reimbursed kind of across the different funds because it was primarily the city manager's time, which is normally allocated, in a set amount to each fund. And because we're pulling that $3,000 back out and putting it to the Clean Water Action Grant Fund, all the other funds will benefit at least a little bit from that redistribution. And I'm still working on those numbers, but I should have them in the next couple of days. And that's kind of the details I have for now, but I am more than open for any questions.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, Jan, thank you for the great report. And I guess I really like hearing you say that we're showing up in the black. And it's not really a mystery how we're doing that. And we hope that when the audit comes through, it actually shows that we are still in the black. But I think that's a good representation of how well the city's been doing and the council has been doing to kind of get this projection going the right way. So there is no real mystery, Jan, would you say? that we're just doing a good job? Is there anything that you're concerned about where we're at?
No, not particularly concerned. Obviously, we still have, the dock is always a little bit hard to project because we don't know ahead of time what the Marine Highway schedule is going to be. It's so heavily dependent on the ferry visits. But certainly the renegotiation of the contract that City Manager Gagel did last spring has made a big difference with that and has put us in better shape for the dock. And the other thing that I think is really positive is the steps that are being taken in the boatyard to get a little more enforcement rather than, so that people can't just leave a boat there that they no longer want and just let it sit there and become something that's taking up space but not generating revenue. I think we're seeing some positive steps happening with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Jan.
Any other comments from council for Jan? All right, with no other comments, thank you, Jan. Great report. We'll move on to number 2, Harbor Report Quarterly. And Ms. Layla's not here.
Yes, Ms. Layla is not here, so we do have the written report.
Okay, I'll give us a few minutes just to take a look at it.
We can try and answer questions.
And Liz can answer questions possibly for us. All right, council, do you have any questions for Liz on the report from Layla?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
You may, Vivian.
Yeah, Liz, if you could fill me in, were the bike racks at Mike the Welder, were those donated or did the harbor budget pay for those?
I believe in City Manager Gagel correct me, those were donated.
They were donated.
Yes, he did donate them.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then if you could clarify how this water bottle refill station it says it eliminated waste from 1,159 disposable plastic bottles as of the middle of July, which is impressive. So how is that calculated? How did she figure that out?
There's the meter on the water bottle refill station, so I presume she's going by gallons, but I can check with her and see.
Okay, so it calculates when people come and use it, fill up their water.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, with no other questions, we'll move on to item J3, Public Works and Maintenance Report, Quarterly Report. We'll hand it over to Amanda.
Well, I kind of dove into the deep end and I feel like my head is still above water, so that's a positive thing. I'm not really prepared to actually give a report, but I would love to answer any questions that anybody has.
Council, do you have any questions for Amanda on Public Works? What's going on? What's been going on? All right, awesome. Well, thank you for all your hard work because there's been a lot going on. And you are correct. You jumped into the deep end. We are grateful. So,
Madam,
all right.
if I may.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I would say that same thing. Amanda, thank you very much for diving into the deep end and keeping your head above water. And it looks like we've got a good public works project going. I think I see Johnny Gruber and Stan Coleman that are great employees and assets to help you out. But thank you for all your time and what you're doing. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Vivian. All right, without any other comments or questions, we will move on to item K, public hearings. We have none. On to item L, unfinished business. We have none. Item M, new business. Resolution 2505, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, adopting a joint resolution number 2024-001 of the Assembly of the Kenai Peninsula Borough and the Council of the City of Homer, Ketchimet, Kenai, Seward, Seldovia, and Soldotna, supporting the City of Kenai Small Community Air Service Development Grant proposal to support incentives aimed at direct air services from the Kenai Municipal Airport to Seattle, Tacoma, and the lower 48. And I will turn this over to Clerk Diamond.
Thank you. So you'll see resolution 2505 on page 34. And they are in the early stages of this project and are asking the cities within the borough for their support. There is a support letter request in the laydown that was sent by the city of Kenai. And that is on page 7 of the laydown. So I encourage council to read that and I can answer any questions about that you might have.
I can't think of any reason why we wouldn't support it. Right? I think it would be good.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if I may.
You may.
Yeah, I've been told support of resolution 25-05. It would be a fantastic addition to the Kenai Peninsula and to Seldovia. So I'm in full support of it. Thank you.
I'll chime in there as well and say I agree, especially with what I've been getting to deal with travel being harder and harder, especially this year for tourists and, any of us alike to get down here, having other options and closer options, and especially ones that would get us closer to Seldovia from the lower 48 is only going to make it easier. So if we don't have any other questions or comments, I will look for a motion of approval for resolution 2505.
We do public hearing.
Any comment from the public?
I have some more comments from the public.
All right, without any comment, I will look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-045.
Second.
All right, an approval by Rojas and a second by Peyton. All those in favor, Kennedy,
All right.
Swick,
Aye.
Peyton?
Aye.
Keithley? Aye. Langbart?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
All right, 6 in favor. Resolution 2505 passes unanimously. All right, moving on to item number N, City Manager's Report. I will pass it over to Heidi.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So I hope you have had a chance to look at it in the laydown. Since we missed a meeting at the end of July, is it the end of July, beginning of July? We're at the end of July now. There's been a lot that has happened. That's a little bit of an extensive report, and I'll just go over the beginning initial changes. And then if you have any questions, definitely let me know. I did want to also include and make mention that you're probably well aware that now we are firmly in fiscal year 2025. So even though we're still calendar year 2024, the budget is closing out for 2024, and all of our expenditures and revenues are now moving in for the FY25 as well as that fee schedule. With that, I did send out a new newsletter at the beginning of July that had that on the front page. It's always great to have that, hopefully spread that word and have that initial information out there that there is a 1.7% increase due to the consumer price index for some of the fees and rates. But most everything else remains fairly steady. So I hope you had a chance to look at the city newsletter as well, and it's attached if needed. I also wanted to give a heads up that the capital improvement program, and it looks like it says 2025 to 2023, should have been 2030. It's time to start having discussion on that, so that hopefully we can have a pass an updated CIP by December, along with the council's priorities, legislative priorities for both state and federal. We found this to be extremely helpful and useful in the last couple of years, especially last year when we were able to take those one pagers, attach them to the resolution with the priorities, the one pagers being from the CIP, and pass them out to people as they asked. Senator Sullivan is going to be here. I forgot to put that in here at the end of August. And that was one thing their office asked for. You know, anytime we talk to, or most of the time when we talk to these legislative representatives, they say, well, what are your priorities? Can you provide us with that information? So super important. I'm kind of excited because there's been so many changes, there's been so much progress. So I'll be able to hopefully draft out and make a note of that and those changes. And one significant item that is mind-boggling that we haven't tracked before is that sewer lift station project has never been included in the CIP. So we'll make sure to get that in there, even though hopefully we're getting to the end of that project during the upcoming year. But still, it's an exciting time. State legislative grants, our hard work from attending the AML legislative conference in Juneau paid off. When we were down there, we met with staffers for Vance's office, Representative Vance, and we met with Senator Stevens, Governor Dunleavy, other representatives, and other communities, and had 2 projects submitted for the capital budget. And we received both of them. So the raw water transmission line replacement project, 250,000, and material for safe roads in the amount of 88,000. Those were listed in the resolution earlier on the consent agenda that was approved by council. Now with that approval, I'll write up a quick budget narrative to them, sign off the grant documents, and then we'll proceed with hopefully having that funding released and moving forward with at least the material for the roads. The raw water transmission line still has some work to go. Speaking of material for safe roads, the 22,000 appropriation through the CDS appropriations request through Murkowski's office made it through the state of Alaska STIP. And I had a discussion with them last week, DOT that is, and they are wanting to send that to the Denali Commission, who could help distribute those funds in order for us to get the biggest bang for our buck, so to speak, because it's their federal dollars. They come with some steep requirements, environmental requirements, and different things that really eat into that chunk. When I was talking with somebody from the US DOT originally about this project, they said, well, you have 22,000, you're looking at maybe 5,000 by the time we're done with everything that we need to make this money accessible. So DOT has been really gracious in working with us and trying to make sure that we can get as much of it as possible. And that was a solution that they had. They work closely with Denali Commission, and Denali Commission has ways of being able to move funds around and not have such steep requirements as DOT does. So we'll continue that discussion, and hopefully they were thinking maybe fall that would be available. As I said, raw water transmission line has a little ways to go with the state legislative funding award that provides the match funding for the CDS appropriation, which was $1,066,000. However, we're still short approximately $514,000. That number keeps cropping up over and over again because we keep having updated cost estimates as we go through the application process. The application process is at the end with the community grants program through EPA. That's how we receive the funding. And it has been done in conjunction with RCAC. So that's been really huge to have their support. We continue to seek additional funding for the project. And I did receive a recent report that there's a possible leak in that infrastructure. So there's been a few people who have walked that area pretty regularly. They can hear water running. It's time. So hopefully that happens sooner than later. City Office and Maintenance Shop Energy Improvements Project was selected for an award through the Alaska Energy Authority. They said a couple weeks out for signing the grant award, and then moving forward with being able to purchase and complete the necessary repairs that were included in that project. And that includes spray foam insulation for the shop, a new bay door, exterior man doors, replacement of single pane and broken windows, and new registers and thermostats. So not a huge grant, but that spray foam insulation, and especially that change of the man door, which we can see light through, not the man door, sorry, the bay door, we can see light through, will make a significant difference for the building. Jackleft Bay Dock replacement project. We're making progress on the pre-award requirements. I just sent out an email approving a schedule for the geotechnical field inspection. That'll happen September 3rd. There may be some closures on the beach and on the dock itself, as they're doing a couple of a few boring sites to get samples of the ground, and then like a wave sound test for the floor of the tidelands there. So looking forward to that. We're really full steam ahead now with Moffitt and Nickel on board. We're talking with the environmental risk engineer tomorrow. They're planning a trip up here, as well as NEPA in the spring, and just really starting to see some things happen. So that's really cool. Speaking of Jackalop Bay Dock, it needs some minor repair this summer, is on the list for Public Works. Amanda has a plan. She just talked to me about it today. So I'll get a little bit of that tied up. One being that the float is becoming disconnected from the approach. It's only on by one bracket now. So we will reattach the second bracket. There's a board that needs replaced for the metal approach part up onto the dock. However, it doesn't address the float at the very end, which we know is popping out, and will take further work than we have capability for at this minute. So we're trying to work through a game plan for that. If it's when we purchase the harbor skiff, which was approved in the FY25 budget, potentially driving that out there and using it to do some in-water work. The trailer, sorry. When we purchased the trailer for the harbor skiff. Maybe we can drive that out there. I don't know if we're also kind of have our hands tied because of this grant on what work we can do, and it being in water, that might potentially be an issue, but we are aware and keeping an eye on it. Speaking of grants, there's a community change grant, and RCAC, who is helping with the raw water transmission line replacement application, met with the city and Seldovia Village Tribe and recommended that we submit a project. With their help, we were able to submit 2 letters of intent for the heavy equipment and archival storage complex out of the inundation zone project and the sluice sewer improvement project. Those were kind of the closest ones that fit the parameters of the grant from our CIP. They do require a community-based organization, or CBO, which is typically a nonprofit, to sign on as like a statutory partner. So they're just providing support, and that they are supportive of the project itself. We have a few organizations that we've worked with in the past that may be interested, that will send out letters of interest and see if we can get somebody's support for that. And I think that one's due in November. So if we can get that taken care of, it's just another opportunity for some of this infrastructure funding. And it's really nice to have that support of the RCAC. Senator Murkowski's staff were here at the beginning of July. We had a nice visit and talked about our CES appropriations requests, both the past one, the raw water transmission line, where we were at with that, and present. Unfortunately, we didn't receive any awards this year as the fuel retail and distributions facility project didn't make it out of committee. In that discussion, I learned that that one is the hardest one to get funding for, because especially for Alaska, there's the most requests for it and it has the most limited amount of money available. But it was worth a shot, and we can continue to resubmit and we can look at next year. So think about that when we're thinking about state and federal priorities with our CIP, having either projects for each or projects that we want to submit for both. But it's a good opportunity that we can continue to work on. The dock approach slab repair project is complete with the help of, I cannot say their name right, Kukar Construction. They're the company that's working on Seldovia Village Tribes Clinic here in town. They had some pours happening, as well as a separate project for Seldovia Village Tribe that's happening out the road. So it was a good opportunity to be able to jump on a load of trucks coming into Seldovia, save a little bit of money by everybody working together. It was a minimum of 20 yards, which was a lot, and a lot more than we actually needed. So we were scrambling a little bit to make some forms for the boat haul out ramp, which we did, so we can work on replacing some of those this fall, as well as some temporary repairs to both boat haul outs, and then both of the other projects purchased a couple of yards from us. So in the end, I mean, it was a little bit more than we budgeted, but it's a lot less than if we would have tried to do it ourselves. And that was a ordinance introduction for the appropriation of the funds for that project on tonight's agenda. At the next meeting will be the public hearing. Historic boardwalk repairs, the community members working with the city to secure cost estimates and research funding opportunities. City dock inspection is happening today. When I got in, they had their drone out. It was really cool because the approach work is done. So they noted that, and we'll see what's provided in the report, but they didn't seem like they had any initial serious concerns when I spoke with them. Water service connection inventory, second notice was mailed out and included in the July newsletter. And just a reminder that the city did receive a $20,000 grant that will be reimbursed upon completion of that inventory and approval from DEC. Radzi continues to work on this project, so we're thankful for his assistance in that and answering questions, because we're getting lots of them from people from the community. We know Rebecca Ryan is here to help perform the utility rate study, so we're looking forward to receiving that back, as well as some training for the planning commission members. There was a structural fire recently. SVFD, BHFD both responded. We have an MOA, even though it's in BHVFD jurisdiction, so they take the lead. SVFD provides support. One thing noted was that the city water tanker would have been really useful to have. It holds 3,000 gallons of water. But right now it's currently out of commission. It needs a new alternator, and there's some connection work that needs to be done. SVT approached the city about working in partnership to repair the truck. They would want to repair it and then store it at their facility in their they're putting heat in this week actually, shop, and then be able to use it in an emergency, but we would still have access to that time. So had a conversation with Mark Ball today. We're working on updating the MOA and the logistics of what that would look like. We do know that that is a big piece of equipment and handles really differently, whether it's full or empty or half full and things sloshing around. So what the training requirements would look like, just all of the different insurance liability pieces. But it would be great to see it back in use. So we're making gains on that. For the KPB short-term accommodation resolution 2024-029, I wanted to let you know that it was not picked back up off the table during the Assembly's July 9th meeting. Potentially there's word that a working group may be formed in the future for further discussion, but nothing as of now. And the FY24 audit, I can't help it after seeing the financial report. I'm very excited. So it had just happened that both me and Jan were thinking about it. LG Refilled reached out and was like, are we going to be engaged again for FY24? Let's meet and discuss this. I believe we're meeting tomorrow as well. So that we can engage them for that audit and start looking at a schedule for completion. We're hoping maybe, December, January time again. I'll let you guys know as we get that more, a little bit more firmly placed. The city awning roof project was nearly complete. Paint is ordered in here, and we're just waiting for Dylan crew to come back. So far, that project has costed a lot less than anticipated. So that's been great, especially because the dock project costed more. So it's the way things work, I guess. Public restrooms. I know I mentioned last time that they were pumped. We did end up actually pumping the porta potties at the airport in Jackloff again because of the upcoming events. There was the fly-in last weekend, and next weekend is the Jackloff Bay 10 miler. And man, those things are getting used.
Yeah, I noticed that this weekend.
Woof. So we're keeping an eye. Amanda and Johnny were able to do the last pumping, and we've got a good plan if we need to again, I'm sure by the end of fall. And I just really appreciate Allison and the work she's doing, keeping them clean, because I think that's a big part of it.
I have one question.
Mhm.
Kind of goes back a little bit. The water tender truck,
Mhm.
are they going to be storing it at the 3 Mile station or out at the new shed they're building?
3 Mile.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, in the fire department.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Let's see here. Tsunami inundation brochure. We saw the final draft and it's been reviewed. So hopefully that means we have some printed copies coming soon. Boatyard impoundment process, as Jan mentioned, we're working to clean up the boatyard. Pre-impoundment notices were sent to 7 vessel owners. 2 have made arrangements with the city to clear their accounts. 1 has requested a pre-impoundment hearing. Impoundment notices are scheduled to be sent out August 1st for vessels who have not responded to the pre-impoundment notice or made further arrangements. So we are making headway on that. You guys will see that come out. Beginning of August, we also have to publish the auction dates at that time. So we'll look at having that at the beginning of September. And I'm sure you guys will see that information as it becomes available. Employment opportunities, the SVFD administrative assistant position, formerly known as a safety officer, was hired. That was Helly Hansen. And a ferry ticket agent line handler, Alex Rojas, also was hired on. We want to welcome them both aboard. The public works operator 1 or 2 position remains vacant. However, we do have some prospects for this fall. As well as I forgot to include on here that we are looking for a substitute senior meals cook for a few weeks in August. So if you know anybody who wants to get in the kitchen and serve our seniors, we would appreciate having somebody on board. Employee travel days. There's going to be a lot of movement in the city office in August. I think employees are realizing that the summer is ending. And so there's some travel dates, some family reunions happening. And I have a family commitment that came up. So I'll be away from August 18th through the 29th. I'll take my laptop and be available to work and for the city council meeting between August 26th and August 29th. And then myself and Mayor Campbell will be attending the AML Summer Conference in Kodiak from August 12th to the 15th. So tickets are bought. We're excited, continue to network and hopefully make some good gains for the city. Some upcoming employee training opportunities. We spoke with Northern Industrial Training, and they are willing. I guess that's something that they do in their program, that they send out trainers to communities and work with their operators and their equipment there. They are right now in Port Graham and Nanwalek. And so it wouldn't be available till November. If that's something that we want to pursue, we would have to do another budget amendment because we currently have 6,000 available in the FY25 budget for this training. And the cost estimate for it is 12,075. So I did reserve the time and so that we can pursue that as needed, and then, we'll evaluate as we get closer. But I think it would be a really good opportunity before winter and snows hits to have some additional greater training for our staff. And then maybe a little bit of loader training. They said they could throw that in there too, but mainly greater focused. And if you look at trainings, it's really hard to find greater trainings in the area. So cybersecurity risk assessment was complete at the end of June. We are waiting back. We're awaiting the final report from Structured, and everything else I believe you guys have had your eyes on. So let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions for Heidi?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just no, a thorough report. Thank you, City Manager Gagel. So much going on in this community. It's amazing. And so many positive things that we've got going. Thank you so much for the report and your dedication to getting this work done. Thank you.
I have a question. I was trying to remember. When it comes to the audit, if having the audit, if we're like starting that now, is a December, is that like an average timeline for audits to be done? I just wonder, as far as like when we're working on our planning in the fall for the next year and thinking budget and stuff, it's nice to kind of know where we're at 100%. And I just wasn't sure if that's something that can be better or if that's
So excellent question. It really depends. It doesn't take them till December to get it done. That's when they start.
Oh, okay.
So it really depends on their availability with their other clients. And that's what happened last year. And that's what we're hoping for this year. I don't know what their timeline looks like until we speak with them more tomorrow.
Okay.
But the council did just approve a contract with Tailored Tax and Accounting LLC as for the audit preparation work. So having more time to work with them and really make sure that they are able to do that full audit preparation beforehand will be an advantage to the city. And then we know already that we'll have repeat findings from FY23 because we didn't have time to fix them for FY24. But the goal is to be able to carry on and continue with them through the FY25 year and being able to call them up for support as needed and to work on these issues throughout the year. That way, hopefully in the future, if there's availability to do it sooner, we can. But really, it only takes them, a month and a half, 2 months. They like to do it faster than longer, of course. And having that full audit preparation ahead of time supposedly will get us to a place where the actual audit is even shorter. It's just, I think we need to hold steady with where we are with the people we've hired on, as long as they're a good fit, so that we can see some of these fixes and findings that are needed come to fruition. And then I've heard good things from a few different companies we talked about. When you're able to do that, it becomes just like a piece of cake.
Perfect. And that was kind of my question, because that's in thinking of that when I think of it like in tax, like when you're working with your CPAs and tax things, you have the CPAs that will they automatically want to file extensions and they do stuff later. And when you're actually trying to plan, there's no way to plan when you're always a year behind actually knowing where you were at. And because we're now in this great spot, that's what I wanted to know. Like, what do we need to do, or you as staff to just, keep the eye on that? Because it's easy for firms, because you are just another client and they're going to go through to, sometimes push things out. But I guess what I would just say is, as you guys are doing that, I've learned that being very upfront, and you don't have to be pushy, but just being like, please let us know what needs to be done and when, so that it can be that fast forward. And when you're really adamant on that and you show that you get that to them right away, if they're doing their job, they'll then prioritize and get it through because it's easier for them because they're not waiting on that information or communication. So
Thank you. Excellent feedback. And I will say that our finance officer, Jaeger, is excellent at that. And she last year had all of the prep work to them months
Fabulous.
before they even needed it. So
perfect.
she, even though they might not be ready until December or whenever they want to start, will be working on it well beforehand.
Awesome. I figured so, but that makes me excited because that's how we can stay ahead of it. That's awesome. All right. Any other questions for Heidi? All right. Without any questions, we will move on. We are moving on to item O, informational items not requiring attention. Number 1, the regular election for the city of Seldovia will be held October 1st, 2024. The candidate filing period opens August 1st, 2024 and closes August 15th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. You can find this on page 50. Yeah.
Sorry, if we could make a quick note. Typically now is when we would just remind people that that's 2 seats. And it's going to be Councilmember Kennedy's seat and Councilmember Swick's seat. So those are the potential incumbents if they decide to run again. But those, always looking for people to run and to file. So, and
So all those really interested people in the room and on the screen.
you can pick up your packet. That was supposed to be available today. I shouldn't be speaking for City Clerk Diamond, but that's supposed to be available today. So anybody interested in running can come down to the city office or get it online, starting anytime. And then we won't start accepting them until August 1st. So if you know anybody who's interested in running,
You want great civic duty.
If anybody wants to talk through the specifics of the process, send them down.
All right. Item O2, the Seldovia Planning Commission will hold a special meeting Wednesday, July 24th at 6 p.m. A public hearing on zoning amendment application will be held. You can find information on page 51. All right. Do we need to ask for comments on that or do we move on? All right, moving on. Item P, executive session. We have none. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Kennedy.
SVT ferry. What do you know?
From what I'm aware of, they had some engine troubles and they are in the process of making repairs and hoping to be up and running by the end of the week.
I'm just wondering what the plan was to get people over here for the songs on the slope.
I'm not aware.
I spoke with Crystal today and I wished her the best, but they're gonna try and do an in frame. I guess you gotta put 6 liner packages in it. It's a pretty risky gamble. We'll see. I wish them well. I hope it works out. So otherwise, we're liable down for the remainder of the season.
So speaking on behalf of Art Council, we right away tried to start reaching out and my counterparts have reached out to like Maco's and Discovery and so we made Maco's has agreed to donate just as SVT had prior to get our band members over here. Which is awesome because that was obviously a huge cost for us and something. So if we needed, we have that all arranged. And from what I understand, they're ready to be transporting folks. I don't know what the findings were with Discovery or Rainbow on that or what's happened, but there's been, efforts to move that forward. And I know I had reached out to the tribe. I haven't heard back, but just with a idea of that morning, we're using their shuttle van bus for the 10-miler. And if it might be a possibility, since people will be probably going to Jackaloff, to have that as an offering, just because Halo Cab may not be able to, timely get everybody that's coming back and forth, just kind of trying to be prepared. So I just threw that out there saying it could also be, a way if they wanted to make some extra money, running that as a shuttle service as an idea, or if they wanted us to find somebody to do that. So I haven't heard back, but just trying to brainstorm. So, but either way, I think it's still going to be an awesome event and we'll do the best we can. All right, Switch.
As most of you, I'm sure, are already aware, I will not be seeking re-election this year. Just throw that out there forever.
John's mad at you. So we have an open seat for all those interested in the room and on the TV.
Yeah, anyone who's listening. John, you had your choice to go first.
You had your choice to go first.
I know I did.
All right, Peyton.
I have a couple of things. I've been watching Allison's progress around town, and it has been really cool to see. Just you turn a corner one day and you notice that all the brush that was in the road is gone, and it's not just gone, not ugly limbs sticking out, but just beautifully trimmed, clean corner there. Just beautiful work. Like everything that she's doing is so nice. It's so well done, and I just I'm always driving. It's kind of startling to people if you just yell out the window at them, but kudos. She's doing really wonderful. I really appreciate that is getting done. I had a couple other things, but I got distracted. I don't remember what they were. I really wanted to just, the city crew always does so much. You guys are so awesome. You all do, I'm always baffled at Heidi's report. You guys are wonderful. You work so hard. It's already almost the end of summer, but I just, to have that, I can't remember what her title is, what she's doing out there, but she's doing really great. I really appreciate you
Thank you, Harmony. Keithley, that's me. I'm gonna just throw in a plug for upcoming events because I know it's a busy summer. We all haven't been in here. So we mentioned the 10 milers this Saturday, in addition, Songs on the Slough, 2-day event this year. So Friday is going to be down below the pavilion in the harbor on a floating dock. So hang out on the dock, around the harbor, the pavilion. It'll be in the regular spot on Saturday night. Just please remember, if you're in a boat, to think safety first and be aware of the tidal movement and those around you. And then also we have a new event and we want to spread the word really quick. The Chamber of Commerce has hired Sage, who was our runner-up for leading the 4th of July. And she's from Homer and does many events over there and really wanted to do something for us. So we said, that would be great because we've sucked ourselves a little dry. So she's going to come in and we're going to have the Blueberry Renaissance Fair. This will be hopefully the first annual. So she's got a lot organizing. Go on Facebook. She's posted on the Chatterbox and start to follow what's going on. Basically, the town should turn into a little Renaissance community over 2 days with vendors and fun, and get on Amazon soon and get your wear and attire because it's August 17th and 18th, if I'm remembering right, which is only a few weeks away. So if we order like now, we might see it by then.
Around with barbecued turkey legs.
Barbecued turkey legs. I saw maybe mead. The vendors have to be like 80% Renaissance themed in what they're doing. So I know we're all trying to think of what that looks like. Peasant bread and I don't know. Peasant bread and cookies. Yeah, sure, you're all better. And other than that, thank you guys for letting me stumble through running this meeting for you tonight. Langfart.
No comment.
And Rojas.
A great meeting, and thank you everyone for all your hard work you do for the city, and my neighbors that are going around painting all the fire hydrants. So hopefully you see those, but that's two good volunteers that do that every year. Good meeting, great outlook for Seldovia. Thank you all.
Thank you, Vivian. All right. Item R, next meeting, the next regular meeting will be held on August 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Item S, I look for a movement to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.